There was a time when computer science degree used to be a guaranteed ticket into tech. That's not the case anymore. Junior roles, thanks to AI, are disappearing. Entry level postings have been cut in half, and the students who followed all the right advice, major in CS, get a degree, are now sending out thousands of applications and hearing nothing back. The curriculum never caught up to the AI first workplace. It's really challenging even for us to keep up, forget about the curriculum. And most parents have no idea what their kids actually need to know to be hireable. And today we have with us Cassandra Chin, who has been teaching kids to code at international conferences since she was 13 years old. She's a Java champion, author of Raising Young Coders and AI First Programming series. She's also a computer science student herself, and she's joining us to talk about exactly this gap and what we can do about it. Cassandra, first of all, it's great to have you on the show.
Hi, I'm really happy to be here today. I want to talk about this AI First programming book series that we're working on. So there's this huge gap in the education industry because right now in the colleges and universities, students are not learning how to do AI. It's considered cheating to use ChatGPT, Claude Code, any of those tools. So students have really high computer science skills when they graduate, but the employers are looking for AI skills and the students are not graduating with those skills. And ever since the introduction of ChatGPT, there's been this huge sharp decline in students getting hired and finding employment for students graduating with computer science degrees. A lot of these students, about twice as many of them, have turned to master's degrees, but this just delays the problem further since master's degree students are also not finding employment as easily now. So we're writing this AI First book series because we want to fix this education gap. I think what matters here is really changing the curriculum and the way that students are learning programming. So we have this AI First programming methodology where first you prompt the AI to get the code and you learn. And then you want to look at the code and output and really learn from it, analyze from it, and that's how you grow as a person. So for our AI First programming book series, we also have a Visual Studio Code extension that is open source and we're writing. And the main issue with AI, if you think about it, is every time you prompt the AI, it gives you a different output. And that's really frustrating for learners because every time you ask the AI, it'll show you a different way of giving you back the information. And what we do with our Visual Studio Code plugin is we ensure consistency. So it detects the prompt. Because this is a book, it's a curriculum, we have very specific prompts that we ask the students to write. So the code plugin, it detects the prompt, recognizes it, and it will return back the very specific output, which we have curated. So I think for a learner, this makes learning much easier to get back the same consistent prompt. And it's also connected with the latest AI models. So if you need to modify the code or write something on top of it, it will pull back from the AI and make it unique.
First of all, thank you for explaining about the series. Now, when I look at you and we met at the event, and that's what I learned about the work that you're doing there. You are not just an advocate for this. You yourself have lived it as a young person, learning to code, and now you're watching, teaching a new generation of students who are actually struggling to get hired after doing everything that they were told. You explained a bit of problem there. I want to go deeper because I have two kids and they are looking at career options. Most of those modern kids, most of them, they just want to become YouTuber or podcasters or gamers. That's where they watch Mr. Beast and that's where they want to go. And yes, it is so true that even we don't know what is the right career path because technologies are changing so fast. And in most cases, they learn more from AI than they learn at a school these days. So tell us a bit about because we are not in school, so we have no idea what's actually going on in campuses. What is actually happening out there for new computer science graduates right now?
I actually have a friend who's attending Stanford University. They're a very top school in the United States. I'm in California. And they just last year added a new class which teaches AI programming tools like ChatGPT and Visual Studio Code, Claude Code, all those programming basic tools. But it's a very introductory class. So this top school has only just started adding a class into their curriculum. I think over time, schools will add this curriculum, like AI will become integrated with computer science, but it's taking a lot of time. I'm hoping that I can speed this up a little myself by writing the AI First programming series, because that's really just recreating the curriculum from the very beginning. And I think what this will do is, with this new AI First learning style, it will actually become a lot faster to learn programming, because when you are prompting the AI, as long as you understand the concepts behind programming, like for loops, ifs, conditionals, as long as you know the concepts you can program, you don't have to memorize the syntax anymore. Because I think with traditional programming styles, where there's a lot of drilling in with concepts, manually counting and iterating, it's a lot more fundamental. So we can skip over some of this with the new learning style with AI.
When I look at it, as a tech journalist, I feel so many things are changing so fast. Even for us, like MCP was released, I think last year. I forgot when it was released, because things are moving so fast in this world. New models keep coming up. When it is hard for us who are in the industry, you will not find experts who can start doing the work. So it's going to be very, very difficult for universities or colleges to build curriculum on the technology that was just launched yesterday. And this is, AI is just one thing. Like, for example, by the time you start teaching kids MCP, OpenClock came in. Nobody is talking about OpenClock, and something new will come in. So I also feel that this traditional model is not going to work in the long term. When you talk to, of course, these graduates, I'm pretty sure that you have spoken with a lot of faculty members also. You also do a lot of work with organizations like Linux Foundation. Are you hearing anything where it's like, we have to change the model of education itself? We cannot rely on the old legacy model, just the way we used to call it, legacy software versus, function as a service, serverless, and modern, software break all the monolith. What are you hearing that? Because this is not a problem that can be solved by just creating a new curriculum, because curriculum will take 6 months. By the time it reaches the student, new technology will come out. What are you hearing?
I think we can think of this new time of AI kind of like when the web browser came out. For me, I've always had the web browser, but I heard from my dad that you used to have to go to a library and read a book before Google came out. So it took a lot of adaptation to change into web-based learning. I think this should be the same thing with AI. Right now, we're used to going to the web browser, and there's certain curriculums in schools, but it's going to take some time, but I think the curriculum will adapt over time. And I think that even with the AI models changing, I know they're always advertising that there's a new fancy latest model, but that's not really changing the entire way which AI works. The models are getting more accurate, more better, but this doesn't really change the AI first learning style. You're still prompting, and you still have to look at that prompt to learn from it. And I think the way which we're coding is going to change over time.
That's very so true, because the fundamentals are still same. On top of, once you learn how to drive, it doesn't matter which car you drive, even if the new models keep coming in. So actually, that's a very good insight and good point that you made there. Thank you so much for that. Now I want to talk about the market also. When we look at the numbers, of course, layoffs are happening, but we are also seeing there's a massive drop in junior hiring, because AI is doing a lot of low level tasks, and these junior hiring interns, they gave students exposure as well, and that also was kind of a foot in the door. As major tech companies are pulling back so hard on entry level engineers, what will be the impact? How do you see it is affecting graduates, and it's also affecting companies?
Right now it's unfortunate because we're in this generational gap where it's going to take a few years for the curriculum to catch up. I think over time it will stabilize because the schools will be teaching the students the skills they need to learn. So the students will be learning how to use AI tools eventually. But for right now, I think the situation is not that great. I mean, eventually we'll hit a point where the companies are not hiring junior developers. So there'll be a gap. But I think eventually the curriculum will pick up and things should normalize.
If I ask you, I mean, you say curriculum has to change. Based on the discussion here, what has to actually change inside colleges and universities for computer science graduates to be competitive in this world where AI tools are part of every developer's daily workflow, but at the same time, the same AI is also making them redundant at this page. And if they don't get a job as an intern, how will they become experienced to get experienced jobs? So what has to change?
I think the way of learning has to change. I mean, if you think of the way schools work, they test you based on a set of facts that you memorize over the course of the term. And with the current system, that's really easy to cheat with AI because you can just ask it and it will spit out the answers. It can even write the code for you if it's a code question. So I think for curriculum changes, the questions have to get harder. I mean, if you think of the interview process when you're getting a new job, that's actually evolved the quickest now. Because it used to be that they discourage AI when you're doing an interview. Maybe there's some code questions which you're supposed to solve manually, but now they're testing you on how good you are at using those AI tools to solve those harder level questions. So I think it's the same thing with school systems. They'll have to upskill what they're expecting from students and make the questions and expectations harder. And it's really about showing what you can do with the tools, not just getting the simple answer when you're taking a test.
Do you feel that because of these placements rate have changed, decline, are universities starting to feel the pressure from employers and from students as well? Do you have any such discussion? What is the thinking process of universities here?
I think it's tricky for universities. I mean, they're definitely feeling the impact because a lot of universities, their success is measured on student placement rates once they exit college. But the challenging part is a lot of the professors are set in their old ways. But I'm actually fortunate. I was at a conference in JFocus and I met this professor named Kai Horstman. He actually wrote the core Java book. And I think he's a really good example of a professor who's changing his ways. He was actually thinking about this AI first learning approach before I even told him about my book. So I think eventually the professors and schools will catch up. We're just at the really beginning of this wave.
We talked about, of course, students. We talked about university. Let's talk about parents, because we are often, kind of the first line of support for kids who want to get into tech. We provide all the resources, but also at this point, most of us are also clueless because I don't know what to tell, what to suggest. We don't know. Industry doesn't know. What can parents do at home to help their kids build the right skills, stay marketable, and go beyond colleges? Because as we just discussed, you explained that universities, colleges, they have their own limitation. They cannot go beyond that. But we have another university, which is internet. Now, AI can help a lot. My kids, they learn a lot. You're making joke about going to the library. Now I have not been on Google for almost 6 months because it's boring to go to Google and then open a website. I simply go to ChatGPT or Cloud. I ask the question. I'm a heavy gamer. I'll take a screenshot, put there, and it will give me the answer. Actually, it will even write the code. Go there, do that. So actually, AI is helping even there as well. So people have started going to search engines. Anyway, back to the point is what can parents do to help their kids? You are a great example because your dad helped you. Now you have actually exceeded your dad. Now you're being interviewed. So talk a bit about what parents can do here.
I think there's a lot that parents can do at home. For parents who want their kids to lean into learning more about technology, I think starting young is very important. I actually wrote another book called Raising Young Coders with A Press, which I have with me here. So this is like a parent's guide to getting kids into technology. It has a lot of projects for inspiring kids to get into technology. So I think for kids, just making technology a fun thing, showing them how it can be fun, and then they might decide to do more of it later. And another thing interesting which happened to me recently is I know we're talking about AI a lot. So I think it's helpful and important for kids to start using like ChatGPT in their daily life because actually Google is becoming worse and worse because there's a lot of AI generated articles on it now. So it's really difficult to find information. So now honestly, you have to, for Google search and simple tasks, you can go to ChatGPT to find the information you need. And for any deep learning, I actually think the best thing to do is pick up a library book and some curriculum. And I actually found that I have ChatGPT and I've been using it, but I never really considered that I didn't have the pro model because for employees who are working in a company, your company probably has bought the pro model of ChatGPT and a lot of these AI coding tools for their employees. But for students and younger people, the schools haven't really purchased these tools for the students. So I think just as a parent, paying the little extra for the pro model subscription can help your kids to really jump ahead and try the latest tools.
No, that's a very good advice, and it does help a lot. And actually, you also raise a very interesting point is that when you go to search engines and look for something, most of the content generated there is AI generated, and the problem is 80% of it is wrong. It's mostly hallucinated. It just makes things up. So it's very, very, very hard to trust that information. And it's even more challenging to verify it. And I feel lucky that I moved to video because I mean, they can fake Cassandra as well, but the amount of money it will cost them to make a 20 minutes long video, they can make a Hollywood movie. Writing content is very, very cheap with ChatGPT. You can write an article in 10 seconds. So you're absolutely right about this. So thank you for that. Now, I want to talk a bit about raising your young coders and, of course, the AI first programming series. Can you talk about what was the thinking behind starting with AI rather than treating it something you layer in later? What was the thought process and what is your own process when you work on these books?
I think for the AI first programming series, a lot of the inspiration came from my own experience because I recently graduated college and a lot of my peers, they're also in computer science degrees. They recently graduated and are having trouble finding jobs. And when I think about like why they're struggling with jobs, it's because they're not really using AI tools and employers are mostly looking for people who are used to using these tools. And this got me thinking deeper about like the core curriculum for learning. When I actually went to the library and picked up a lot of AI books, like programming books for learning a language, and they now say it's also AI. A lot of what they do is they take a regular programming book, like for Python, and they add a chapter at the end, which focuses on AI. And I feel like for someone who's learning programming, having AI to be an afterthought is not quite the right approach because I go to a lot of conferences and I see that the industry is all focused on AI, but they're taking a lot of existing technologies and really upgrading its core with AI. So I think it's the same thing with learning, that really you should be learning AI from the beginning and incorporating that into your learning and process, how you think as you go about coding.
I have two questions for you. Number one, for kids who want to be a software engineer, first of all, I don't know what kids want today because, first of all, there are so many opportunities as compared to our time, and also there was a lot of pressure. I mean, I grew up in India, so of course there was a lot of pressure on me to get into engineering or doctor. I defied them all. I went into literature. They, for a very long time, they were like, "Okay, you write stories, but can you find a job also?" And I'm like, "No, writing stories is my job. That's how I make money." It was hard for them to understand, but now they do understand. So first is that kids or students who are looking for career in software engineer, what does the path actually look like? And second is, since you have been on this path, what are the resources in addition to your books you would suggest that they start doing? Of course, a lot of kids these days, they spend a lot of time in watching reels, but what is your advice they should start doing? So first of all, they are ready, they don't fully rely on the education system, which is kind of behind, and we are in US, so it's kind of lacking. And third is that how they should look at the career path. So there are like three questions, I'm sorry, bundled together.
For resources that kids should look to, I think right now, unfortunately, this book is at the very tip of the wave. I'm hoping that after this book is published, it will inspire more educators to catch on and really do this AI first learning style early on. And I think if any kids are worried about, like, if they go into computer science and are worried about finding employment later on, this is really a temporary issue. And right now we think that AI is only associated with computers and the really top of technology. But I think it's just a matter of time that AI starts getting incorporated into other industries, like later down the line. So just thinking that it's only impacting technology, it's a temporary thing. It'll impact everything, which can be.
That was part of one question, the resources. I threw three questions at you. Second question was that should they still look at software engineer as a job option, or they should look elsewhere? And what does that path looks like?
I mean, for every kid, it's really up to them personally what they want to pursue. Every kid has their own interests. And I think it's important that the parents let them have a lot of opportunities when they're young so they can decide what path they want to pursue. But I think for kids who want to pursue software engineering, the way software engineering and the curriculum is changing. So probably by the time they reach college, they'll have AI curriculums and they'll be learning. They can probably find a job and do AI. So it's just the way that the computer science will be done is changing, but at its core, it's still technology. You'll still be writing software and code.
Cassandra, thank you so much for joining me today. This is really a very important conversation, and I'm actually shocked because we don't hear a lot about it. We do hear about what AI is doing, what you can do with that, but we don't talk much about that what are the challenges the next generation is going to face. So thank you so much for bringing it to people's attention, and also being a part of the catalyst, the part of the change itself, a part of an inspiration for the next generation. Thank you so much, and I look forward to chat with you again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.